The relationship with food comes down to relationship with yourself. It's as simple as that. And if you have a bad relationship with yourself, you're then inherently going to have a bad relationship with your food.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love.
Relationships with food. Now, everybody likes to think that they have a relationship with their food. Now, I'm going to be very blunt with you and just say that you don't have a relationship with your food. This camera won't stay still. Right. Nobody has a relationship with their food. The reason that you may think that you have a relationship with food is purely, unfortunately, usually, not all the time, usually down to a trauma response. And that is because when you go through a highly traumatic experience, you do not have control of the situation. And therefore, when you come out of that traumatic experience, you want to have control. Now, you can't control every aspect of your life. There's very few things that you can actually control wholeheartedly. That is, one, how you think, right? Nobody can take away how you think. You can be influenced on the way that you think, but nobody can take away how you think. Right? But you can't control the weather. You can't control necessarily what actually happens to you outside of your home. Right? There's so many things you can't control. And this unfortunately comes down to a big divide in money. Right? If you don't have lots of money, you can't pay highly qualified professionals to be able to teach you things. You know, if you have lots of money, then you can. Right? Now, education is the primary reason why people suffer with the things that they suffer, because they don't know any better. And that's not your fault, that's not their fault, it's nobody's fault. It's simply down to what you want out of life, right? If you want to have these constant habits and things you can't control in terms of like the way you look at food, and you know, you can't control your binging, you can't control what you eat, and that is simply down to your neurological brain patterns. That's a simple fact. You know, when you change the rewiring of your brain, you then look at every aspect differently, every aspect of your life, every aspect like food, nutrition, training, relationships, relationship to self, inner critic work, all of these kinds of things. It all starts up here. Everything in terms of life starts up here and works down. So it really bothers me when people say, oh, I've got a bad relationship with food. It's like, no, you have a bad relationship with yourself that you haven't actually processed, and therefore you're putting that relationship onto food. Anybody, and I will happily stand by this, anybody out there that says I have a bad relationship with food will have a bad relationship with themselves, right? I've never met anybody that is internally good with themselves that says I have a bad relationship with food. Never. And that is because anybody who understands what they're going through, why they're going through it, will inherently look at what triggers them and what doesn't trigger them. For me, for example, right, there's things that I cannot have in my house and I never will have in my house. One of those things being ticking grandfather clocks, right? Ticking grandfather clocks. There's foods I will never eat again because of the trauma that I went through, right? And, you know, things like leek and potato soup, lasagna, right? Now that might seem very odd to the uneducated people, like, oh, why wouldn't you eat those? And it's because those things trigger me and take me back to when I was going through my trauma. Now that specifically is a bad relationship with food, because the second I eat those foods, I get triggered and I regress and I go back to being 10 years old. Now, I have the education and the understanding to know that I get triggered by those foods and therefore I don't eat them. Something else, but that is my choosing to go through to learn about myself, learn about why I do the things that I do in the way that I do them when I'm triggered by something. Now, most people don't like understanding that. And until you truly understand yourself and you truly understand why you cannot stop eating, is the point that you will actually realize, okay, I have a bad relationship with myself. I have met 2 people in my time of being a PT who have come to me and said, I have the fat gene. Right. Now, there are studies out there that support this fact in terms of if you have certain genes and chromosomes that you are inherently more likely to store fat. Now, this has been broken down by science many, many, many times. There are 3 different body types. Now, the one that I'm referring to is called a mesomorph. Now, the mesomorphs are inherently easier at gaining weight and therefore losing weight, as opposed to an ectomorph, for example, who really struggles to gain weight. Primary example is myself. I'm a mesomorph. I lose weight quite easily when I put my mind to it, but I also gain weight very easily when I don't put my mind to it. And I am very lucky to sort of have this, because I would rather be a mesomorph than an ectomorph, for example, because I can gain weight super quick and gain muscle super quick and build muscle really, really well and all this kind of stuff. And I know one of my best friends is an ectomorph. He has been 56, 60 kilos his entire life. He's 6 foot tall. He's skinny, really skinny, always been skinny, and he might always be skinny, right? His metabolism burns so fast. He can out-eat me, and that is saying something. I can eat a lot of food, right? We had a little eating competition a few years ago, and I put him on the floor with what I made. I couldn't even get through, I think, a third of what he got through, and he was on the floor. But 20 minutes later, he was like, right, what's for dessert? And I was like in a food coma, right? And that's a bad relationship with food. If you eat so much to the point where you feel sick, that's a bad relationship. I've suffered with binging and purging and those kinds of things, those kinds of eating disorders, and they have troubled me my entire life because of the trauma that I went through. I went through trauma, and therefore the only thing I could control was my food. And I was extremely picky up until the age of 14, 15, when I went on a field trip with school and I didn't have a choice but to eat other things. And then I was put in an uncomfortable position, and I ended up actually loving it. And now I eat nearly every kind of food. But that inherent need for control translates primarily to food. And this is why people suffer from anorexia, and they suffer from diabetes, and they suffer from being fat. But people don't like to hear that the reason that they're fat is usually due to trauma. I'm not saying it's due to it all the time. I'm saying usually it is due to trauma. And every single person I've ever met in my entire life, overweight or underweight, has had some kind of really traumatic experience. And it takes a very special person to burst through that. Unfortunately, this is what the media have pushed on us for decades and decades and decades, that you need to be skinny, you need to have abs if you're a guy, you need to have, if you're a woman, you need to have big bum and big boobs, and you need to be skinny in all other areas so that you can be the catalogue style woman. And I loved people like Adele back in the day, who rose to fame, and they weren't that idealistic, perfect body. It was brilliant. It enabled people to realize that the perfect body isn't necessarily 20% body fat for a female and 15% body fat for a guy. Because in this day and age, if you want to enjoy your life, that is realistically, for the general population, unrealistic. It is, right? Provided you're not obese, no, and you don't need help getting around the house and you're able to do things, then what's to say healthy and what isn't healthy? Everything's open to interpretation these days. You know, people identify as a bloody cat, right? You can't go and turn around to some obese bloke and just, to some slightly overweight person and go, that's unhealthy, because it's like, you identify as a bloody cat. You can't have it both ways. So, my personal opinion, the relationship with food comes down to the relationship with yourself. It's as simple as that. And if you have a bad relationship with yourself, you're then inherently going to have a bad relationship with your food, right? Like I said, I've always struggled with food. I've always struggled with that sort of aspect with food. And I know that that is down to my relationship with myself. And to admit that is the first stage, right? I've been admitting that for years. I've been working on myself for years. I have ups and downs, waves, like everybody does. I'm no different. I'm not standing here saying that I'm the pinnacle of fucking life, because I'm not. I just don't. I am only telling you what I'm going through, and what I hope to achieve by sitting here and telling you my experiences is that you will look at your own experience and go, oh crap, yeah, fair enough. We're sort of two of the same people. Maybe he can help me because he's ridden the wave. At the moment, I'm being attacked by the wave, and there's two very different things. Now, I don't look at relationship with food. I look at what is good and what is bad and what are your goals, right? So for my goals at the moment, I'm purposely trying to put on weight. So I'm not tracking my calories. I'm not worried about anything like that, because I'm just making sure every meal I have a minimum 40 grams to 50 grams of protein per meal. I eat 3 meals a day. I eat snacks in between. My sister loves to bake, so she makes brownies. I'm not fussed about not eating them at the moment, because I know come 4 months' time, when I start dieting down for the summer again, I then can't eat those things. And that's fine with me, because my goal is to lose weight and to get ripped and to have abs for the summer, right? But at the moment, I don't care if I'm a little bit flabby, because nobody sees it apart from my partner, right? And I'm healthy. I still eat my greens, still eating my protein, still eating good sources of carbohydrates, fats, fruits, vegetables, a whole variety of different things. 80-20. I've said it before, I'll say it again, 80-20. Provided 80% of your diet is healthy and 20% is unhealthy, then that's fine. Absolutely fine. Like I say, in this modern society, for you to turn around and be someone like Greg Doucette, for example, who lives at like 6% body fat, for the general population is unrealistic. It's a fact. It's just unrealistic. You're never, unless you want to be a professional competition bodybuilder, you're just never going to live that life. You're just not. And I don't, and then you see all these fitness gurus online taking nice photos. And again, it's unrealistic. Do they actually sustain that all year round? Probably not. But will they come out and say that they don't? No, because that doesn't sell products, does it? It doesn't sell, oh, do my fitness plan and you will look like me. But yet he's got no abs and a bit of a pointy nipples, right? That, flabby man breasts, right? That doesn't sell programs. So of course, when they are really ripped, they'll take a bazillion photos over the course of a couple of weeks, so that they're all year round. They can then upload those photos and be like, look at me, this is my condition today. It's complete nonsense. It's complete nonsense. I'm not saying that people don't do it. What I'm saying is those people that do it suffer, because nobody wants to live their life at 6% body fat. It's not the way that we're meant to live, right? And I have had people comment on my videos saying, no, the optimal human diet is carnivore, and the optimal human diet is vegan, and the optimal human diet is... No, the optimal human diet is whatever you can sustain long term, right? Because most of these people who go on these insane diets have health complications. Most of them. The only one that I know of at the moment that doesn't have any kind of health complications is the carnivore diet. But that's boring, isn't it? Christ, could you imagine eating nothing but red meat for the rest of your life? Like, I understand it's fantastic for gut issues, IBS, Crohn's. Like, it's got benefits. I'm not saying it's not got benefits, but bloody boring. I don't think I could deal with that. I don't think I could deal with that long term. Like I say, we're not here for very long. Our bodies are not meant to really live past the age of like 80. Well, realistically 40. If our bodies start decaying 1% after 40 years old, our bodies aren't meant to live for a long time. We're not meant to be here for thousands of years like robots are, right? You've got to enjoy your life. You've got to enjoy your life. And that's why finding a long-term sustainable diet that you actually enjoy, that gives you all the nutrients your body needs to grow and thrive, why not go and sit down and eat a pizza once a week, or a burger, or fries? What harm is that going to do you? Realistically, none. None. Not in the grand scheme of things. Not if you're out doing drugs every weekend, or you're out drinking every night, or you're smoking every day, right? Going and eating a pizza is going to have far less health complications than you going and getting drunk every night. So, yeah, there's good food and there's bad food. Don't look at the bad food and think, I could never have that, because you'll never sustain it. Everybody likes eating good food. My grandma's amazing baker. She always makes flapjacks and brownies, and I'm never going to say no to that, ever. Same with my sister. She whips out a tray of brownies. Unless I'm on a genuine diet or a cut, unless I'm on a genuine cut, because we're always on a diet. The word diet literally just means all the food that we consume in a day. So unless you're on a genuine cut, then why not eat the foods? Even when last time I dieted, I still ate out every week, and I still lost 12 kilos in 12 weeks, and I still ate and drank. Oh no, I didn't drink. The only thing I didn't do was drink alcohol. I lost 12 kilos in 12 weeks, right? I didn't even really try. I loosely counted my calories. I had a big calorie range, anywhere between 22 and 2,600 calories a day, right? I didn't do any cardio, didn't do any steps, because I knew it's just a few simple rules you have to follow when you're dieting. But that's a different video. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough on the relationships with food. Basically, if you think you have a bad relationship with food, then go and get some very serious mental health support, because I guarantee you it's not your relationship with food, it's your relationship with yourself. Other than that, guys, have a fantastic day, and please don't hesitate to drop me a DM. If you've got any questions, I will happily answer them. Never take a short snippet out of context. Always watch the full length video so you can understand what I'm saying. And again, if you've got questions, please ask, and I will happily explain myself in further detail. Other than that, guys, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later.